Alrighty, here we go. Today is Sunday, August 10th. Time for another Buoy 10 update. And I'm doing it from my truck here right now because it is so windy out there that my audio wouldn't even work. So let's go through what happened today. We started out first considering going out into the ocean to try and chase all those fish that we've been hitting on here for the last several days. But the bar was restricted to 30 foot and under for most of the morning. And the couple boats that did slip outside first thing, they said that the ocean was actually okay as far as weather goes. A little swelly, a little windy, but doable. But they were not finding very many fish, and that was the case for pretty much the entire day. Now they found some wilds, they found a king or two, but there was a lot of feeders, and which are the smaller Chinook and coho that aren't quite ready to come back. They're still 2 years out before they come back. So a lot of feeders out there, a lot of wild fish, and the guys over in the ocean didn't limit out like we have been the last few days. So I think what happened, because what I saw in the river, is most of those fish that we've been hooking and getting right out front here between 3 and 1 and 4 and 2 on the red and green line outside out in the ocean, those fish on these big tides are pushing in. So here's what I saw in the river today. So first of all, we stayed in the river all day long. We never went out there. We just didn't want to push it. Fishing's supposed to be fun. Don't want to get anyone seasick. And I fished in 70-degree water. I fished in 60-degree water. This is only my third day in the river here this season. And typically in years past, if you guys have followed along, I find a water temperature that I like where there's a lot of fish. I stay on that water temp and we smoke them. Today, I found fish and we got bit in 70-degree water. I found fish and we got bit in 60-degree water, and everywhere between. So it had nothing to do with water temp like it has in the last several years, for me at least. And that's kind of thrown me for a little bit of a loop. It didn't seem like even they were biting better in one water temp or the other. Sometimes in hot water they become lethargic. Sometimes in cold water they're just wanting to move. But we got bit everywhere. So I don't know. As far as fish that we actually landed and kept, we only kept one Chinook and one coho. We lost a bunch of fish right at the boat. We let a few wilds go and had a handful of other misses too. We probably had 12, 15 goes. That's great. What's not great is only 2 fish in the box for that many goes. The Chinook would come up right next to the boat, open up their mouth and do one of these, and that hook, you just see it barely pinned. They're coming up and just barely nipping at it. Every single fish we landed was just had 1 point of treble hooks or just a single hook in it, and they just were not being super aggressive. The one Chinook that we landed, it was on a spinfish Mexican hat, and it had both hooks just yard sail on that noose rig just up in its face. There was not a chance it was getting off. But the coho had only 1 point of a treble hook in the corner of its mouth, and it popped out as soon as it hit the net. And just about every other fish that we had, the ones we lost inside the boat, 3 or 4 fish, whatever it was, you can see that hook barely in the tip or in the bottom or right on the side, and they start doing one of these mouth open looking right at the angler, and you just know what that barbel's hook is coming out. So I don't know, all in all, it was a fun day. With the amount of fish that I saw on the active target, boy, the fleet should have caught 5 times as many fish. There was an insane amount of fish out there. It was great. It's really good to see. So I'm hoping that these fish will start to slow down, settle in as these tides start to drop. Today was the biggest tide, and they'll start to drop from here on out into next weekend. And my hope is that the fishing will just get better and better and better as the week goes on. The fish today were kind of tumbling in and flushing out with the tides. They were coming in looking at the gear, but they weren't engaging. They weren't turning and looking at it. And then even the fish that would, they'd come up, put their nose on it, and then just kind of just drift off. They wouldn't even flare and just swim away. They'd just go, oh, what's that? Oh, that's cool. Yeah, see you later. So they weren't quite ready to interact with the gear. But hopefully, as the week goes on, the tides get smaller. Should be pretty darn good. As far as where we fished, like I said, from 70-degree water, 60-degree water, we started out over at Church Hole, and we had 2 grabs, 3 grabs our first pass. Lots of followers. That was great. And then we went on down to, I just kind of sat around and waited around Chinook, El Waco area, waiting for that tide to flip. And when it did start pushing in, there were a bunch of fish that started coming. But man, it might even be just that these fish are engaged a little bit too much with all the bait, because there's just a crazy amount of bait coming through in every water temp too. So there's just a lot of bait, and maybe these fish are just a little bit overstimulated. So I don't know, we'll see. Everything kind of worked. We got bit on Mexican hat, we got bit on that Mexican hat spinner, Mexican hat spinfish both, and everyone I talked to was getting bit on anchovies, spinners, spinfish, stuff baits, whatever. It didn't seem to matter, just right place, right time, right fish. So I don't know, tomorrow I'm going to be in the river. The ocean's going to be pretty big here from here on out for like at least the next week. So it's going to be fishing in the river here for the next few days, which I'm actually very excited about, because it gives me an opportunity to dial in the river a little bit. And actually, I really like the river because it's just a bit more technical. You just learn a bit more. And so it's not like going out there in the ocean, where when you're in the ocean, it's just put the gear out, go 15, 20, 25, and all right, we caught fish. I mean, you got to find them out there in the ocean, find the ribs, find the water temperature, the whales, etc. But in the river, there's a lot of little things that can make the difference between catching a fish or two or 15 or 20. So that's going to be a lot of fun this week. I'm really looking forward to it. And with that, we're going to all learn together. So I'll make sure to keep you guys updated on how each day goes. Coming up into this weekend should be some really, really good fishing. Fingers crossed, man. There was, like I said, a pile of fish in the river today, everywhere from upstream to downstream. I hope they don't just flush through. Usually we get that thermal barrier that slows them down, that hot water, but they were still pushing upriver in the hot water. So I don't know, time will tell. That's part of the fun. Okay, we will see you guys tomorrow, hopefully with a better report that the fish stayed on the hook. That was rough losing that many fish, but can't win them all, right? All right, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Later.